edition of Uncensored. I am your host, Keith Andrew. Along here is a good friend of mine, Lanny Poffo, and I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show once again.
I am the genius full of glory and renown, still living in the past.
Now, before we get started, I have an announcement for our listeners that the whole point of Uncensored is to show people that even with a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, proving to people or turning myself into a perfect example for people out there, deaf, blind, or in a wheelchair. You don't have to label yourself as mentally challenged or handicapped. If you're very passionate about your goals in life, you should prove to people you can still mount to something, and that's the whole point of my talk show.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was tag teaming partners with George Weingroff in the ICW before we came to WWE. And he is visually impaired, and he has never let anything stop him from having a rich and rewarding life. And I'm still friends with him. I call him at least once a week and bother the hell out of him.
Well, I'm glad I have your support.
Well, it's not, it's not where you come from, it's where you're going. That's what counts.
That's true. Now, starting off, you can ask me anything you want. It's normal conversation, and it's uncensored. You can curse if you want to. And so people don't think it's always one-sided. You can ask me something, I ask you something. But I don't want people to think this is just, wink, wink, a wrestling interview. So I'm going to ask you normal questions along the way, too. So it's pretty much, a normal conversation. Starting off, what can you tell me about yourself?
I am 59 years old, and that's not mental age because I have never met anybody that's 118. But while my brother achieved immortality through his work, my goal is to achieve it by not dying. So I'm going to live to be 100 or die trying. Now, how do I intend to do this? Number one, driving. I intend to be a good driver and avoid bad drivers and never be in a hurry. And as far as food goes, Dr. Joel Furman, greens, onions, mushrooms, beans, berries, and seeds. And then he changed it to G-bombs. That'd be greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. So it made it like a word, G-bombs. But if you go into the grocery store with that in mind, eat food, not food-like substances. And I remember in WrestleMania 6 at Skydome, which is now the Rogers Center, Brutus the Barber Beefcake cut my hair. And now look at him. He's got male pattern baldness, and I've got a full head of hair. I have most of the hair, but it was totally intentional. So I just think that is a fantastic comeuppance. That he cut my hair so rudely, and I pretended to be humiliated. And now my hair's never been better, and he's got a lot of bald spots happening. Love to see that.
All right. So what can you tell me about your childhood growing up?
My childhood was in one foster home after another. No, that's not true. I was very lucky to have wonderful parents, Judy and Angelo Poffo, and they had two sons, Randy and Lanny, and I am Lanny. And now all that is remaining is my daughter, who is going to be 30, my mother, who is 87, and yours truly.
All right. Now, you mentioned that your, I don't know if it's true, but I think it is. Your father was a wrestler, was he?
Yes, let me give you the poem I wrote for him at his funeral. It goes, "'Twas back in 1945 on Independence Day that Nazis had surrendered. Japan was on its way. My dad was in the Navy, as history will tell. As he was bleeding through the mats, a world record fell. He did 6,000 sit-ups with an extra 33 to glorify our Savior, who died on Calvary. And Robert Ripley's feature celebrated this event. Giving credence to success is not an accident. That's always been his motto through times both good and bad. He's a real Hall of Famer and the world's greatest dad. Thank you.
No, that was perfect.
Yes, and I do count my syllables because one of my heroes was, Robert Frost, and he said, if you don't count your syllables and watch your rhyme, it's like playing tennis without a net. So that's what I call a free verse.
All right. Now, what about, do you have any funny stories? I know I asked you this last time, but now we're doing the interview over. Do you have any funny stories you want to share about your dad and Randy?
I can think of one particularly funny story. It was my brother had just been unconditionally released from baseball, and he was going to buy his first car. Sadly, it was a Chevy Vega, and that didn't turn out too well. As you know, they don't make them anymore, and there's a good reason for it. And so I was in the back seat pretending not to notice, and my brother and my father were having an argument. And it was just like, you ever hear the beer commercial, less filling, tastes great, you know, or two mints in one, search as a candy mint, search as a breath mint. So they were talking about necessities and luxuries. And Randy said, well, for me, an air conditioner is a necessity. And my dad says, an air conditioner is a luxury. My brother says, necessity, luxury. And Randy says, look, I've got a skin problem, and if I get too hot, I break out in a rash. So for me, an air conditioning is a necessity. So my dad answered him, well, I've been driving since 1911, whatever, you know. And he says, we got along very well. Nobody had an air conditioner until 1965, and we get along very well. And Randy says, did you have windshields? And my dad says, yes. And Randy says, what's the matter, no balls? And I laughed like there was no tomorrow. I thought that was the funniest thing. I thought Randy beat him in that conversation. But actually, that's what he said. No guts would be nicer, but you told me I could say anything I want. It was uncensored.
Yep.
I'd rather tell you exactly the words Randy used. And I laughed. Man, I thought that was funny. And I wasn't in the conversation, but I was the audience. I wasn't listening hard, but I was listening.
All right. Now, how did you get started in the WWF? You mentioned in a past interview Randy helped you out, but do you regret not having a chance to get any titles, or the belts didn't really matter?
No, if I were the booker, I would make myself the world champion of everything. But the truth is, the only thing that counts is what the bank teller counts. I was married, I had a daughter. My job was to provide for my family. Now that I'm divorced, I still have a daughter. But the story is, there's been main event jabronis, and I'm a jabroni that was a main eventer. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that counts is what the bank teller counts. Now, what makes me angry is 2 years ago, Maria Menounos, in WrestleMania 29, goes to the Hall of Fame and makes the greatest speech I've ever heard, introducing Bob Backlund. And guess what? The people of New York, Madison Square Garden, they booed. How could they boo a beautiful woman with a great speech? But I would love for you to go back on the WWE Network and look at the beautiful speech that she gave for Bob Backlund and how great it was, and the people booed, but it reminded me of a joke. You're a New Yorker, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you're not in New York City, right? You're upstate?
Yeah, upstate.
Yeah, that doesn't count. Okay, how many New Yorkers does it take to change a light bulb?
How many?
None of your fucking business.
Actually, that's pretty funny.
Forget about it. So, I hated it that they booed her. I think she was beautiful inside and out. I loved her speech. And I'm going to tell you what. I'm a fan of Bob Backlund. Not in the ring as much as the person. everything that's wrong with Americans is corrected by Bob Backlund. He doesn't pay interest, he earns interest.
No, I agree. And, going back to our first interview, something about the audience that night, there were a bunch of assholes on that night. They were booing Bob Backlund, they booed a couple other people, they were saying boring. I remember I told you, about Trish Stratus, she came out, and they were all cheering and everything, she's holding her stomach. And they're like, well, I just want to say thank you to my husband in the audience. Boo. Danny's like, well, in September, I'm going to give birth. Oh, come on. It's like, really? You're here at the Hall of Fame to show respect. You're making a big deal because she's not available anymore? Now, people are just fucking stupid. Stupid and selfish.
I would say both. Not stupid or selfish. Stupid and selfish. But anyway, what do you expect? They elected a communist mayor and a socialist president.
Actually, you bring up a good point. I was going to ask you, how do you feel about President Obama? Did he vote for him?
No, I didn't vote for him. I took 2 opportunities not to.
You know what pisses me off about that? You have a right to your opinion, and I'm not pissed off that you didn't vote for him. What pisses me off is that people like to stab the knife and twist the facts. They said, oh, if you don't vote for President Obama, you're a racist. Or if you do vote for him, you're only voting for him because he's black. Or, there's always something, and mostly it's the media that causes more problems than anything.
The reason that I didn't vote for him is because I'm not a socialist. End of story.
What does that right?
What is socialism? You ask me what is socialism? When the government wants to control the economy, that is socialism. Okay? And they demonize rich people. And what do rich people do with their money? They can either save it, invest it, or spend it. Either way, everybody wins. You see what I mean? That's why we're the greatest country in the world. But when the socialists get in charge, then you have, then they accuse everybody of greed. They have tried to use, let me explain something to you. You didn't introduce me as the champion of anything, did you? Because I wasn't. But I saved my money even when I was sucking a hind tit on the sow. I saved, invested, and now my accumulated interest is greater than my expenses, so I don't do anything for a living anymore. What I do for a living is I enjoy the flow of the money. But they don't teach you that in school. You know why they don't teach you that in school? Because the teachers don't know anything in school. How can you learn from a failure?
No, you're right.
If you want to learn something, go back and learn from Maria Menounos introducing Bob Backlund. He's a man that did not succumb to peer pressure. Now, I say, okay, poor people, yes, it's very sad. Well, actually, listen to this. Have you ever heard of the island of Hispaniola?
Heard of it, don't know, have no idea what it is.
We have 2 countries there, and I've been to both of them. One is the Dominican Republic, and the other is Haiti. Okay? Now, if you think you've seen poor people, forget about it. There are no poor people in the United States. Until you've been to Haiti and the Dominican Republic, you don't know what poor is. They have people living in filth, poverty, and chicken coops are better than what they live in. Do you understand? Chicken coops are better than where they live. But the people of the Dominican Republic, they have a sonrisa. Sonrisa. You know what sonrisa is? A smile. They wear a smile. You know why? Because they are rich inside, because they don't worry about what they don't have. They just don't need anything but themselves. You see what I mean? They have good food. They have good agriculture. they think they're millionaires because they don't live in Haiti. Okay? The setting of the poor people in America, the poor people have 2 TVs in America. Okay? And people say, well, I don't have any money. But they have tattoos. Is that a luxury or a necessity? Let me ask you. Tattoo, luxury or necessity?
Luxury.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for saying that. Is a tattoo a luxury or a necessity? A tattoo is a luxury. So if they can't handle their necessities, why are they buying luxuries? And by the way, those piercings, I like to learn from everybody, but I will not take advice from a man with a tattoo or a piercing. Okay? Because obviously, he doesn't need to give me advice. Okay? About anything. Okay, go on. Want to keep talking about politics? I don't mind.
All right, well, you actually brought up a couple good points about people living in the poor. During Hurricane Sandy, they had they had this big show, and only 30% of the money went to the people who needed it. The other 70% went to the bands and fell through the cracks. I think it's disgusting. If you're doing a charity event to help people who need it.
Why? Can I tell you why? A little poetry, where money lies, honor dies. Now let's say it again. Where money lies, honor dies. And then these same people, these bureaucrats, they criticize rich people. You see what I mean? What happened to remember when Obama took office and he had this enormous, almost $1 trillion in stimulus. Where did the money go? Shut up. Don't ask, don't tell. You see what I mean? And I'll tell you what, all these vacations they're taking, how do you live with yourself? You take the taxpayers' money and you go on these unbelievable vacations, and they give the same answer that a child gives you. But everybody's doing it. That's what kids say. And then all these liberals say, but everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it. That justifies that you're doing it. But it was worse when he did it. No, nobody spent more than Obama, and he's misspent the nation's fortune. And he promised that he would balance the debt. The people that voted for him don't know the difference between a deficit or a debt. They don't know the difference. I know the difference. And Obama promised he would balance the debt. The deficit spending is still never ending. It's over. We are France.
Now, how you?
I don't want to be France.
How you feel about him making the army small when everyone else is expanding? China's expanding, Russia's expanding. You don't
cut. Let's get something straight. I don't like Republicans either. Okay? Who's responsible for the national debt? The answer: Democrats and Republicans. And they're all pointing at each other, and they're equally guilty. Okay? The only guy that turned me on during any debate was Ron Paul. And he was the only one that had served in the military of all the people he was debating. The rest are all chicken hawks. They were chicken when it was their time to serve, and they're hawks now. Okay? What do I think about I think it's the wrong place to cut. Because there are people who hate us. And the most important thing that the government is supposed to do for the people is protect us. And that seems to be the least important thing for this administration, this regime, this communist regime that, is still there. Okay, next question, because I'm telling you what, we're going to have to round this up. I'm going to have to quickly, I can't talk much longer. Okay, all right. Just ask me a few more questions, and maybe we'll get together again sometime.
All right. Well, how do you feel about, in the Hall of Fame? Do you want to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, or do you think, I know someone asked you just recently, when will Randy Savage be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Okay, thank you for the question, and I'm going to tell you that Randy didn't care, okay? He wasn't interested anymore. Something happened 23 years ago, and Randy put a chip on his shoulder, and that was the end. And what happened was, at the Meadowlands Arena in Brandon Byrne Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey, there was a battle royal of old-timers: Wilbur Brazil, Gene Kiniski, Luthez, Pat O'Connor, Eduardo Carpante. All my dad's friends were there. My dad wanted to be in it. My brother said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." He tried to go to the powers that be, and he was unable to get my father in that battle royal. My brother put a chip on his shoulder and kept it there the rest of his life, which was only 23 and a half years. Okay, because I know he did it. This match was a day after his 35th birthday. As far as I'm concerned, I refuse to have a chip on my shoulder. I am not interested in carrying a grudge. Life is too beautiful to waste in anger or chip on your shoulder or whatever. Okay? So I don't have a chip on my shoulder. If they want to put him in the Hall of Fame, go ahead and put him in the Hall of Fame. Okay? But every year they don't do it. They're making themselves look more and more preposterous. But I am absolutely willing to, I'm not interested in fighting that battle anymore. It's not what Randy wanted. He wanted to go in as the Poffo family, but if evidently we weren't good enough, then so be it. I'm not going to be complaining, but I'm not going to be starving either. A lot of wrestlers are starving. A lot of wrestlers need a job. I don't need a payday. I want a payday. I don't need one. There's a four-letter word called M-O-R-E, and I don't need more. I would like more. I don't need more. Okay? But let me tell you what. Thank you for the fans. And if you're interested, I'm having I entered my video in a Sky Mall contest. I would like to plug that right now. And Sky Mall is the magazine that you see on the airplane. And if you go on skymall.com, look at Lanny Loves Sky Mall. And I'm in first place now. You can vote once a day, every single day, once a day, until June 30th. And I would love to win. If I don't win, I won't be upset, but I'll just enter another one. But I would ask for your vote if you think it's good enough. If you think my video is good enough, I said, why do I love Sky Mall? Oh, what is not to love? They have the greatest gadgetry on land or up above. The peeing boy from Brussels, well, that's not my cup of tea. But you'll find something that you like of this, I guarantee. So in 16 seconds, I gave the reasons that I love Sky Mall. So thank you so much. I had a fantastic time. And who'd you vote for, by the way?
Voted for you.
No, for what? Who for president?
Oh, unfortunately, I voted for Obama.
Unfortunately, or you regret that choice?
Now I do, but at the time, people wanted to change, and I thought it would be pretty good to have, change, something different. But,
I hope it changes. Now I hope it changes a whole lot. I hope we go back to, being free market capitalism. That's what helps everybody. When all the boats go up, when the tide goes up, all the boats go up. Anyway, thank you so much. I had a great time.
Thank you.